India is preparing for its first human spaceflight endeavor, the Gaganyaan program. Building the physical capsule to carry humans into orbit takes an immense amount of precision engineering. To get that capsule off the ground, traditional space engineering relies heavily on physics and mathematics. Engineers calculate exact payload weights, orbital trajectories, and the precise amount of thrust required to escape Earth's gravity. These mechanical systems, the rockets, the heat shields, the life support valves, can be repeatedly placed into vacuum chambers and thermal simulators to see exactly where they fail. While ISRO has mathematically secured the mechanics of reaching low Earth orbit, having a functioning rocket only solves half the equation for a successful mission. The most unpredictable component of any space mission is biological. In aerospace engineering, the human body and brain are often referred to as wetware, living, breathing systems that process information and react unpredictably when confined in restrictive environments. When humans are isolated in space, physical discomfort can quickly evolve into severe psychological strain. This stress causes cognitive decline, breakdowns in communication, and panic when emergencies arise. You cannot safely strap a crew to a rocket and launch them into the vacuum of space simply to see if their minds will break under the pressure. The stakes are too high to treat orbit as a testing ground. This creates an immediate operational problem for ISRO. Before a single rocket leaves the launch pad, the agency must figure out how to accurately stress test human psychology and team dynamics under extreme duress. In April 2026, ISRO moved their testing phase far away from the laboratory. They brought the operation to the extreme environment of Leh, located in the Union Territory of Ladakh. The operation is called Mission Mitra, an acronym for Mapping of Interoperable Traits and Response Assessment. This split-screen diagram illustrates exactly why Leh was chosen. The region sits at an altitude of 3,500 meters. Comparing sea level on the left to Leh's altitude on the right, you can see how the thin air naturally induces hypoxia. This lowered oxygen concentration starves the brain, reliably simulating the physical toll of spaceflight. As we overlay additional environmental data onto this altitude marker, we see the secondary stressors the region provides. The crew is subjected to freezing temperatures and total geographic isolation from the rest of the country. Outside the walls of the facility, the terrain is hostile and deeply unforgiving. Leh is a highly specific, naturally occurring space analog. It replicates the physical and mental constraints of space travel without leaving Earth. Inside this environment, ISRO and the Indian Air Force's Institute of Aerospace Medicine are conducting a precise behavioral study. Researchers track the physiological and psychological friction experienced by the Gaganyatris, India's astronaut candidates, as they try to operate under constant physical discomfort. The study focuses heavily on interoperability. This is the fragile communication link between the isolated crew and a remote ground control team. Both sides are physically separated, relying entirely on remote screens and audio feeds to understand each other. The experiment forces both the crew and ground control to process information and execute rapid, high-stakes decisions while actively impaired by the hypoxia and isolation. Mission Mitra treats human communication as a hard system component. Like a thruster or a computer, the human ability to make decisions under strain is expected to function perfectly when deployed. Pushing the Gaganyatris to their mental limits serves a practical purpose. The goal is to generate hard, measurable data. Looking at this data flow model, you can see how the abstract behavioral metrics captured in Leh, like stress response times and communication errors, are compiled and translated directly into rigid engineering parameters. These quantified blueprints are then transmitted directly back to ISRO administrators to establish the exact safety protocols and mission parameters for Gaganyaan. By quantifying human behavior, ISRO bridges the gap between biological observation and aerospace engineering. The behavioral responses mapped in Ladakh become operational rules for the final mission. Proving that a rocket can reach orbit is a massive engineering feat, but true readiness requires testing the crew with the exact same rigor. When the Gaganyaan program ultimately launches, the safety of the crew will depend entirely on the psychological resilience and communication strategies developed and proven during Mission Mitra. To safely place a crew into the vacuum of space, ISRO first had to map the limits of human endurance here on Earth.